Hi people, it's Newbie. Been a while since the last one, but hey, it's time for an update. Lots been happening lately, and in the train room, not so much. But anyway, what's been going on in the train room, we've had some real high-level discussions with the city of Newbie and with some of the businesses in Newbie. And in particular, what happened was the hospital. With the new hospital, the realization came to me and the city council and everybody else that the hospital space just wasn't enough to allow for reasonable traffic flow around the hospital, and in particular the emergency entrance for ambulances and things like that. And so we had to get together and get our heads together and see what we could do about that. Well, one of the problems was the bank building next door. It takes up a lot of square footage of property. And so, well, wait a minute. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So now you see here, the bank building, this building here, is takes up a lot of property. And with the hospital, I had it turned the other way, and with the emergency entrance on which would be the rear and the main entrance over here, and I didn't like that much, and so I tried this way. But the problem is that there's no reasonable traffic flow for ambulances to get around, and it just doesn't work. So we talked to the people at the bank, and the bank expressed some interest in, well, it's an old building, and they said, well, maybe they could do with more square footage. And so we got to talking, and they decided to raise the building. So the bank building is now gone. So now you see we can move the hospital a little more in the southerly direction, give us a little better access for emergency vehicles. We could actually move the gas station a little bit, and we can have a drive come through here now for the ambulances to have egress, and that's going to work out much better. But we need a bank. We still need a bank. Now, one of the things I'm thinking about is this corner over here. So if we relocate this building, then that even gives us more space. You see now, that works out well. We could have driveway through here. We can have that's great. I like that. And what else that does for us is it opens up that property over there for a new bank building. And we give you the new Newbie National Bank. Yes. How about that? Let me zoom in a little bit. So now the bank is a taller structure. It's well situated right there on that corner, and it opens up the space for the hospital over here. How about that? I'm liking it a lot. Now, you ask, where did that building come from? Well, I 3D printed it. Now, some people ask, okay, how did I do that? And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of a tutorial, if you will, on how that bank building came about. Okay, I got the computer set up just looking, or I got the camera set up just looking at my computer screen here, so hopefully I can show you a little quick tutorial on how we 3D print something. Where do we get the files? There are two ways to get files. You can actually make files yourself, or you can download them off the internet. So if we just type in, if we do a Google search and we type in 3D printer files, you see here, I come up with some options, and Thingiverse and Thangs are two that I use the most. So let's just go into Thingiverse, and you see it comes up, and these are all 3D projects that you can just download and print. Some of them are free, some of them there is a charge for. One of the things that what I always do is I go in and I just type in scale. A little difficult for me to do with the computer right in front of me here, but anyway, so if I type in scale, and I can see that these are all the projects in Thingiverse for in scale, and you see there's all kinds of them. And so you just pick something. Say you want to do this worker here, you just select it, and you see it says here, well, first thing you can go through is you can look at the files. There's different, and these are in scale, so these are really small, people. But anyway, so you can download these, and you just click up here where it says download. Now, some of these are free, some of them there'll be a charge for, but this particular file just happens to be free. And you see it's downloaded. So then what you would do is you get out of here and open a file. If we go up to my downloads files, and you see there it is right there. So as you know, as you may remember, I use a Creality 3D printer. It's actually called the Ender 3 Pro. And if I double click on this, the file that what I use is I use a what's called a slicer. So these files are called STL files. You see right here it says STL, and here it says woman. So if we open that up, it automatically goes into my Creality slicer software, which is what this is. And you see here, if we turn it around, well, let's go the other way. Let's go this way. You see there's that little woman that will print, and we can lay it down on the bed like that, and then we can come down here and just click on slice, and then this little warning comes up here, says the model has not been supported and may fail to print. Do you want to continue adding supports before slicing? And normally I say, yeah, let's add supports. So we go over here then, and we can click on support, and it comes up with automatic. And so what that green area is what is going to, the supports are going to be. Now what that means is once it prints, you're going to have to cut a bunch of stuff off of it. But there it is, and then we just click on export. And right now I don't have one in the, if I get this up here, see these are what this downloads on are these micro SD cards. And you take this micro SD card and you put it in this holder like that, and then I could just plug this into my computer and download that file onto that micro SD card. And the reason I have to do that is because my printer reads off of that micro SD card. So this is the way it would work right here. I would click save. I have to put a micro SD card in, which I don't have one in my computer right now, but that's the way it works. And then all you do is you pull out that micro SD card that we just downloaded that on, take it to the printer and plug it in, and it will print. So what we've done is we've converted that STL file into a CDG, or I forget exactly what it's called, but anyway, into a file that the printer can read. And that's really all there is to it. Now, there's another thing that you can do, and that is you can make your own files. If there's stuff that you can't find, you can actually create your own file. That's very involved, and it basically what you do is you do a 3D modeling software with something like AutoCAD or some other program where you can take a two-dimensional model and turn it into a three-dimensional model, and you can create your own STL files and then bring them into your slicer and slice them so that the 3D printer will be able to read them. That's pretty complex. I've had some experience with some 3D software, and I've started to do some of that, but I haven't got very far along with it. It's pretty involved. But anyway, the easy thing to do is just find files that you want and download them off the internet, which is what I did with the bank building and with some other buildings that I'm doing. So that's where that is. So that's how it works. That's how we do it. That's how a 3D printer takes a file and makes something out of it, like that bank building behind me. I'm right now. I'm working on some more. We're going to change the downtown area rather significantly with 3D buildings. I'm into that. That's really all I've been working on here lately, and the rest of the train has just kind of been. I've ignored it. What can I say? But anyway, so the printer right now is working on another building that I'm printing. I had some other projects, some 3D projects. Donna was interested in getting some little markers for her garden so that she could label what she's planted, and so I 3D printed her a bunch of little markers that she can just stick in the ground and write on them and yeah. Anyway, it's become a great tool, the 3D printer, and so that's really all I've been playing with here of late. But I'll get to other stuff. I've got. It seems like, as a matter of fact, here's one of those markers that I made. But it seems like every time I get to working on something comes up and I change and I go another direction. Is anybody else like that? Or is it just me? I don't know. But so the printer's working over there right now, and it made a noise, and I just thought, wow, what's that? But anyway, so that's what's going on today, folks, and I hope you enjoy this little tutorial, and I hope you found that informative about what 3D printing and how 3D printing works. Excuse me, had a little coughing fit there. But anyway, that's it for today, and I'm not sure where we're going to go. Like I say, I'm printing some buildings. There's going to be some modifications in the downtown area that I think are going to be pretty neat. One of the things I think I mentioned before, some of these buildings in the downtown area are not 1 to 160th scale. They're actually the European or the Japanese, which in scale in Europe, I think it's 1 to 150 or something. They're larger. Some of the buildings are larger than the 160th scale. So with the 3D printing, I'm liable to change out a lot of these buildings, but we'll see what's going to happen. See you next time.